What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and holy smokes, sports are just kicking off left and right. You got so much activity going on from the sports world. You have, to be honest with you, college football is in full swing. The NFL is in full swing. College basketball is about to kick off. We're seeing a lot of exhibitions. Playoff baseball in the MLB is underway, and we're getting ready to start the World Series. This is just a phenomenal time if you're a sports fan. And I'm excited because the Kansas Jayhawks basketball program will be playing in a scrimmage against Louisville, however you say it and wherever you're from. But I'm excited to kind of talk about this Kansas Jayhawks basketball program. And what we're really going to focus on in this video is kind of start identifying a projected starting five, maybe a rotation, and really the bench depth and how that's going to look. Potentially even maybe some red shirt discussion. We'll just have to see how this thing goes. But I'm excited to really talk about the projected five, the rotation, and the bench depth. That's going to be exciting to really kind of look at. Now, the Kansas Jayhawks basketball team did conduct their late night in the fog, and obviously they will be heading into the season under legendary head coach Bill Self, an absolute monster when it comes to what it means to represent not only Kansas, but college basketball. You know, they are poised for an exciting 2025-26 season. We talked about that in my recent video with a roster that's really kind of blended this year. It doesn't feel like we're overly heavy in one area, whether it's, you know, the transfer portal or maybe just later in age type of players. Like, we really have a diversity in elite freshmen, seasoned transfers, and the versatile really kind of presence of some of these players. You know, as the discussion around the starting lineup starts to heat up and you're seeing some people really who cover the Kansas Jayhawks discuss the starting lineup, the focus, I think, for me is going to be on how Bill Self will balance not only his stars, the star power that really comes with this team this year, but also you got to take into account the perimeter shooting that we're actually maybe plugging in. And it feels like we have multiple guys that are able to do that, where in years past, it's kind of been, who do we got that's really going to be able to knock down that three in such a clutch situation? I mean, we've definitely had a few guys, but, you know, I would say the last 2 years, there's been some questions around that. And the biggest thing, and I'll continue to hit on it every time we talk about Bill Self and his program, is that defensive prowess, that defensive athleticism that is going to really kind of attack opposing teams. And I think that that's a big thing that Bill Self really looks at when he's recruiting. Obviously, there's other things, but I think one of the big things is being able to play defense. And I think that's been a past challenge really the last 2 years, which we talked about. Now, obviously, they're trying to maximize all this potential because we want to get another national championship. I mean, that's the end goal. Yeah, you want to win Big 12s. Yeah, you want to get to the Final Four. But ladies and gentlemen, you and I know that the end goal is going to be a national championship. So with this deep roster and talented roster, debates are really kind of centered around how you're going to identify and start this projected five. I think a lot of people have an idea, but there have been some, discussions around a guy like Cole Rosario. There's been guys around Melvin Council Jr., Jaden Dawson. How is this going to really shape up? Who's going to provide you the best starting five while also bringing just that super good dynamic off the bench? So we're going to jump in. Now, obviously, the projected five, I truly believe is going to we're going to see this, is going to be that point guard. You're going to have Melvin Council Jr., obviously the transfer from St. Bonaventure. He's expected to handle the primary ball handling duties with solid playmaking and that scoring ability. We saw it at St. Bonaventure. And then obviously on top of that, he's replacing a guy who just historically felt like he was just getting every record as a point guard. And DeJuan Harris. DeJuan Harris Jr. is no longer a part of this team. He has moved on. So you're really going to see a different dynamic because, well, in 6 years, DeJuan Harris was the guy at the starting point guard position. He's not going to be there anymore, and so you really have to be able to find that guy that is going to lead this team down the court and is going to be that vocal leader. I mean, you have to be that vocal leader. I do think this next person will naturally kind of become that, even though he's a freshman. I think when you have the skill set and the ability to play and slow the game down the way shooting guard Darren Peterson kind of handles that, and how Bill Self has spoke on Darren Peterson, I expect his aura to naturally kind of take over in a leadership way. So that really kind of tells you, I do expect Darren Peterson to be in this lineup. There's absolutely no way possible he will not crack this starting lineup. I mean, he's the number one prospect in 2025. He will be the offensive focal point. I mean, we saw it late night in the fog. He absolutely erupted and went off and just scored as many points, I felt like, as he possibly could. He's praised for a lot of categories. His ability, again, to slow the game down. He's praised for his isolation scoring and, again, his three-point shooting ability. I think his quickness, his shiftiness, his ability to get to the basket. You could go on and on about Darren Peterson. And I think that's the biggest thing, too. And he's building chemistry with a lot of guys. Now, one of the things that is going to be interesting is, freshman to freshman, a guy like, Rosario, building chemistry with him and having him out on the court will be interesting, because that leads us to really my next projected starting five member, and that's going to be small forward Jaden Dawson. Now, obviously, Dawson's been dealing with some injuries. I think it's been his knee. Bill Self spoke in his press conference and stated that he does not anticipate that it'll be a long-term lingering issue. He's going to kind of see how it develops, in his first few weeks of the season, but he does not anticipate Jaden Dawson will be, out for a long period of time. With that being said, there is some question marks around who could start at that small forward position. I anticipate it'll be Jaden Dawson, obviously, if he's healthy, but he's a transfer. Many believe likely starting over Rosario initially. And we'll talk a little bit about that. The veteran presence, I think, is the biggest thing, and that's what Bill Self really confides in. And again, we're going to talk a little bit about Cole and how he could crack this starting lineup. But I really, truly believe that, the veteran presence that Jaden Dawson provides, the defensive aspect, he's played college basketball, the shooting ability, he's definitely a bigger bodied type of guy. Self may prefer his experience to begin the season to really kind of get going. And if you look at our schedule, yes, we have some exhibition games. We play Louisville. We obviously play a few teams that are kind of building up to that third or fourth game against North Carolina. So I would expect Bill is trying to really understand and create the starting five and how he's going to move forward with some of this. So I would expect Jaden Dawson to probably be out there initially, again, if healthy. Now, we've talked about Trey White. We've heard from, Trey White's situation with Bill Self and how Trey White's probably been one of the key players in the offseason. His ability to just do everything, kind of be that leader. I think Trey White is definitely going to crack this lineup, and he's obviously a transfer. Provides spacing, provides the rebounding. He's in the front court. Has the ability to kind of have that mid-range kind of game. Trey is very kind of versatile as a bigger body type of individual. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the guy that I just enjoy watching, and I feel like truly most people enjoy watching, and so it really kind of hurt me when there was a chance he was going to, transfer, but he obviously did not and came back. And that's Flory Badunga, ladies and gentlemen. Unbelievable what you're able to see in the growth opportunities from maturing on the basketball court. Bill Self talked about him being able to be a little bit more out in the perimeter area. And that's not, again, necessarily to shoot the three ball, but it's the ability to kind of have a little bit more athleticism. The maturity on the basketball court, being able to get off ball screens, being able to really move quicker and maybe get less fouls and a little bit more less silly fouls that we were able to see him get when he was a freshman. And then it would force him to have to go to the bench. We're going to see him be a little bit more consistent and out there. I mean, the 6'9", 220-pound product is just incredible. He is potentially going to be an NBA lottery pick. I would expect him to be a rim protector, cleaning up the mistakes, obviously being able to probably pass the ball a little bit better and really work out of some tight situations where before he may kind of hold on to the ball. I just feel like there's a lot of growth with Flory that we've seen. And this team is going to be special, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if you're flip-flopping some of those guys. This team has depth this year. This team is going to have the ability to really play at a very high level. I'm excited to just see. Obviously, it's going to take a few games for them to cohesively come together in the environment of what Allen Fieldhouse is and obviously on the road. But I think once this team starts to click, it's going to be something extremely fun to watch. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time home buyer looking to upsize or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. Now, some alternatives to really kind of what we talked about in the starting lineup, and that's sliding Rosario into that small forward spot, which could obviously shift White to power forward, which we're kind of anticipating anyways in this case. Badunga would obviously shift to your center position, but this might expose spacing issues, especially if the non-shooters like Badunga kind of dominate the paint. That's really kind of where we struggled a little bit last year. Is it almost felt like we were having to force the ball down low to Hunter, and we had to work through Hunter. And I don't feel like that's how this offense is going to be designed this year. I don't think one player outside of Peterson is going to be an all-scorer every game. Like, you're going to get these guys that go off because they're hot in those games, and it's not just going to have to be force-fed down low. So I really think that obviously that's something to look at. And you're going to prioritize kind of getting two consistent three-point threats, whether that's Peterson, Dawson, Rosario, kind of out there to really be playing together. And so you're going to address that as KU's ongoing shooting woes from recent seasons. You know, obviously we don't want that to continue. We have guys that have shown the ability to knock the three ball down, and I think that's a big thing. And you don't want to solely heavily rely on the three ball, but you want to be able to hit that when you need to. Now, rotation and bench depth, and I think this will be the end, and we'll wrap this video up after we get through this. Obviously, we kind of talked about Cole, Rosario, potentially, cracking that lineup. I think that just makes him the sixth man. I really do. And I think you want somebody like him to come off the bench to really provide kind of that aura, that dog mentality coming off the bench. I think the hypeness that can come around a Cole Rosario coming off the bench is a big deal. But at the same time, Bill Self's the type of coach that wants an individual to go out there and earn it. And I think that's a perfect scenario with Cole because that's kind of how he's ingrained. That's his DNA. He wants to go out there and prove his worth. And so I would expect him to earn significant minutes off the bench and potentially crack that starting lineup by mid-season, potentially. Obviously, if injuries occur, then that would impact that even sooner. But I would expect Cole to really work his way in and get some decent minutes. Paul Mbaya, obviously, the center that has massive wingspan, is a tall individual. I'll be curious to see kind of his rotation. I'll be curious to see if he's able to even contribute, but I would expect him to kind of rotate at that position, kind of backing up potentially Flory Badunga. It'll be interesting just to see how he kind of is involved, if he really is involved. I could see him potentially being a redshirt candidate, just depending on how the season shapes up and really how he is able to play the game of basketball. If he really can come in and play the game of basketball, then he's going to be a huge contributor. Now, another one to think about is, and a lot of people have been forgetting about him, and that's Elmarko Jackson. Obviously he's coming off an injury, but holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, he provides energy. He's been getting high praise on his ability to kind of come back and just be a good, solid, all-around player. So I'm excited to see what Elmarko Jackson can provide, and I do believe he'll obviously come off the bench. Jamari McDowell, Corbin Allen, Noah Shelby are all similar guys, probably bench to deep bench type roles. They will probably have limited roles, mostly for development or foul trouble scenarios would be my guess. And then a guy that I'm really just kind of interested to see how he fits into this whole entire thing, because he's a solid graduate player. He spent 4 seasons in Canada, and that's Ngenu Ngala. I'm really excited to see how he really fits in, because he obviously is a guard, has a ton of experience. Like I stated, playing in Canada, he had 73 games where he scored over 1,000 points. and had 206 assists and was able to hit 147 threes. So I'm really kind of intrigued to see how he fits in, whether he's obviously going to be the next man up behind Melvin Council. Is that going to be Elmarco Jackson? How that's really going to kind of work. And I think Bill Self has a lot on his hands with that. And so it'll be interesting to see. The final thing we're going to talk about is really kind of some anticipated minutes. I would expect a heavy dose of Darren Peterson, 30 to 32 minutes per game, heavy usage, obviously your offensive engine. Melvin Council Jr. would be like 28 to 30 minutes, primary point guard, sharing some duties obviously with, I believe, Nginu and Gala, probably Elmarco Jackson and some others. But I would anticipate Melvin Council, if he's healthy, as just like Jaden Dawson, they're going to continue to be those primary guys. Jaden Dawson, again, if starting and if healthy, 25 to 28 minutes per game. Veteran minutes, stability, consistency, you know what you're getting. Trey White, front court anchor, 24 to 26 minutes per game. Flory Badunga, relatively the exact same. You know, he is obviously going to be, it's going to depend on conditioning with Flory. The foul trouble, again, we've talked about the foul trouble with Flory. Is he going to be able to stay consistent onto the court? And then Cole Rosario, I would anticipate 20 to 25 minutes. Working into that, you know, a healthy dose as a freshman, he has that potential to kind of increase those minutes, and it could even be a little bit of decrease depending on how those top guys are performing. And again, he has to outperform. He has to really kind of show out, and there's opportunities to earn starts, but I think at the same time, he's going to have to really, really earn it in the minutes that he's provided early on. And obviously others would be anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, situational, depending on matchups, fouls. I think that's really kind of where a lot of those other guys are at. And the potential to redshirt a few of those freshmen, depending on if they're really even going to get minutes. And I think you'll kind of see that early on. Now, this is very fluid. Obviously, this could change, interchange. There could be injuries. There could be all kinds of things that happen before the season truly kicks off. So just take that with a grain of salt. But this is kind of what I'm anticipating for really the starting five and the depth and everything like that. I do expect us to really have things kind of solidified heading into that first game. I'm excited to see how this, I guess you could say, exhibition, I call them scrimmages, will go against Louisville and how they will really kind of play out. We've seen some of these hidden scrimmages or hidden exhibition games being conducted, and some of the teams that you would anticipate to really have success have been losing. Now, again, exhibition scrimmages, they mean absolutely nothing. You're learning, you're trying to figure things out, just like we had at Late Night at the Fog. Those are things you're trying to really kind of start to develop, getting the feel for being on the court in front of crowds. You're trying to really understand and get guys some playing time to understand cohesiveness and chemistry. And that's really what those things are about. And then once the season kicks off, it's go time. I appreciate you guys checking out this video. Smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Make sure you guys comment down below. Let me know what your starting five is going to be, who's coming off your bench. I appreciate all the support. The Jayhawk Nation has come out and really supported this channel. We're going to continue providing all of Kansas content to you all. So make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.